here. I'm sorry that I haven't been making videos for a while. It's just, I have been crazy busy so far. Like, I've working and plus college, and like I haven't had like any time. But now I finally got some time. Yay! So anyway, and I was also trying to find some like ideas to do and stuff. I've got a few ideas coming your way, but of course it's not exactly October yet. October is going to be big because obviously, I know it's kind of weird saying this since we're in the beginning of September, but I'm already getting ready for Halloween. Is that too weird? But yeah, I'm already getting some stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out who. Actually, yeah, I think I know who I'm going to be for Halloween. I'm not going to tell anyone. Shh. I don't know if I'm going to put it up there. But anyway, it's going to go flying. No, maybe not. Yeah, okay. Bye! Okay, so I've been thinking of more top 10 lists to do, and I finally thought of top 10 Tim Burton locations. Now, to be honest, this is actually the hardest top 10 of Tim Burton movies that I've probably done so far. Villains were quite a task, my couples were a bit of a task, the soundtracks were quite a task, but I think with locations, I think it was difficult because, let's face it, like, there's one thing you can say about Tim Burton films is that the environments are just amazing. But anyway, so I had to narrow it down to 10. But anyway, I hope that you enjoy this list, and see if you agree with me on this. Here we go. Okay, so obviously now this one is quite a bit lower on my list just because that we know that it is pretty much a computer generated environment, but it's one of those CG films that I think actually kind of works because, like I said in my review, it's basically a dream, and so everything looks unreal because it's not all real. We're basically in someone's mind, in this case Alice's mind, but oh my god, for a CG film, there are some films, especially like, I'm gonna have to put the blame on Disney again. Sometimes they've basically tried to copy Alice and try and do another CG environment, and it just feels like a rip-off. But, you know, in some cases, like, you know, it just looks amazing, you know, for CG. And this is coming from someone, I'm not a huge fan of CG, but when you get it right, you get it right, and so in my opinion. And it's just the amount of detail and the character of it, and the fact that there are so many locations and they all look so beautiful. Like, I don't know, like even just the scene when the Hatter is, you know, with Alice on the hat, and you know he's just reciting the Jabberwocky poem. Even that environment's beautiful. I absolutely love it. It explains a lot about character, like the tea party, the mushroom forest, just the simple garden with the talking flowers, the White Queen's castle with a sort of chess theme, I love that, the chessboard with the final battle. But if I had to choose a favorite location in Wonderland, I would have to go with the Red Queen's castle. I love the scene where Tweedledee and Tweedledum are being taken, and you get that huge shot of it, and it's just wonderful, along with the music. It's great, and the fact that everything's pretty much shaped like a heart, and that, you know, these little animals are being made as furniture to show how horrible the Red Queen is. The idea that all the heads are in the moat. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love it. So that would be my favorite thing. But I think it's because I'm not a huge CG fan, but clearly this is the amount of detail that they've put into it. It's like, it's one of those few things where I say, yeah, they put their damnest to make this look really, really good. And it clearly showed. I think they won an Oscar for art direction, I think. Yeah. So, there you go. Okay, so obviously this is a little bit toned down from, obviously, places like Wonderland, but I think the thing that I love about the Keen's house, and this is actually where I thought, this is where the most Burton-esque kind of thing came out was the location. I don't know why. I think because it got that plain suburban-like quality, kind of like in his other movies, but at the same time there was something different about it. And what, particularly a theme that comes out in his films is an attic, or a house that's like on top of a hill. We've seen it a lot, never get bored of it. And I feel that, like, particularly the attic where Margaret paints for most of the movie, you know, that very, 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 very small room, and it's just crowded with so many of the paintings, and the window with the sunlight shining through. I love that. It was very beautiful. It was a very tiny scene, but that's probably my favorite set. That's probably my favorite set, was that just one tiny room, because it says a lot. It just says the fact that she's trapped up there. It gives that there's hardly any lighting. The paintings are everywhere, and the idea that, you know, the big eyes are just staring at you. I mean, it's, you know, it's incredible. The new house, it got that suburban thing, but also it had that, you know, sort of castle on the hill kind of thing as well, because it's so far away from North Beach. Another scene that really I loved was, again, the scene where the reflection of, like, the water from the swimming pool comes off on all the paintings. It was very beautiful, and then Margaret's just lying there on the oh my god, it looks so good. It's so simple and so symbolic, but you're gonna think I'm such a geek, but I am. But yeah, it's just things like that, and so I think it says a lot about both the characters of Margaret and Walter, but as Tim says, the environment as much as the character as, well, the actual actors, and I think Big Eyes does play a big part of it, definitely. So yes, I am including the stop motion. I'm not gonna, you know, because they're technically sets. They're just miniature form. It was hard to pick which one was my favorite between The Land of the Living and The Land of the Dead, because even though Land of the Living is kind of depressing, but, you know, it was really, I loved the contrast as well. You know, it was great, but it didn't feel like, you know, they were too far apart. You know, they sort of meshed together fine. You know, The Land of the Living is so black and white and eerie, and it's just, you know. And then The Land of the Dead is just so colorful, and, you know, there's a lot of vertical instead of horizontal, and, you know, it was very sort of all over the place. It was crazy. You know, like, you know, the scene where Victor's just running around trying to hide from Emily, you know, and you just saw so much, and it just kept going and going. You know, and of course the views were spectacular. Well, it would if Emily had any breath. Oh my god, I'm not going to do that joke. But, you know, I think, I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's because, like, looking at that film, sometimes, like, I just forget that it's stop motion because it just looks so good, but at the same time it's like, because there's just sets are just so, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, they're just so good, and they're so big, and there's so much character to it, and so whoever did the sets for the Corpse Bride, well done. And a big worthy note goes to the woods as well. I absolutely love the woods scene. It's probably one of my favorites. Yeah, I think with two very, very different worlds, and the fact that they intertwine very well, particularly with the third act where both the Land of the Living and the Land of the Dead kind of come together, you know, I thought, oh my god, what a great idea that was. Like, the fact that, you know, they're not just, you know, you would think, oh, the dead's come back, be terrified. Oh, no, it's your dead relatives. You get to see your, you know, it's kind of like, I never thought of that, and I was just like, oh my, I felt stupid not coming up with that. I was like, oh, that kind of creativity is spectacular, I love it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the setting for Corpse Bride. Well, I can't really talk about locations without mentioning the factory. Oh my god! Now I said this before in my Charlie and the Chocolate Factory review, that this was the very, very first Tim Burton movie that I ever saw. Didn't know who he was. And oh my god, as soon as Wonka throws open the doors and you just see the chocolate room, man, it was like, I was just a little kid. I just got so excited. And what I loved about it is that each room that they go through in the factory is so different. It didn't feel out of place, but they were just so different. I think really what comes from it is just the fact that from every viewing that I've had with Charlie is just the fact that, you notice something different every time, and it's, the amount of detail that goes on, and the fact, and the added bonus that it was an actual real set, and so it felt real, and so when the characters are wandering around, you get that feeling, and I think that's what it is. Okay, well, we're heading over to the dark side. I think I was just impressed with the fact that, when you're trying to make something look, dark and gritty and, exactly that pleasant, but make it beautiful as well, and that's what Sweeney Todd does. Sometimes I've seen films that try and add that kind of thing, but for some reason they don't work. I don't know if it's how it's edited but with Sweeney Todd they got it right. And in some cases it sort of reminds me of kind of, I don't know if it's weird to say, but sometimes a sort of Turner kind of painting, it's it's dark and gritty, but it's nice to look at. It's pretty much like the old, horror movies and things like that. It almost looks black and white. And so with that, the redness of the blood just really stands out, and then also characters like Pirelli kind of stands out, well, he would stand out anyway. But no, I think it just sort of adds to the whole, Sweeney's been waiting his whole life to come back, see his wife and daughter, and then you sort of get that hint in the environment that you're not going to get what you want, and I think the environment really helps, understand the characters a lot more. And, I mean, that's what the setting really does, and Sweeney Todd does it beautifully. I mean, the fact that we see, the barbershop in 3 stages. The first one was in the flashback where you see how it used to be, where it was all nice. The second one where Sweeney comes back and sees what has become of it, and it's almost heartbreaking. And then number 3 is when we have the chair, and it's great. And the broken mirror, I love the broken mirror. The chair stands out as well. I think the chair kind of counts as a character as well, and so I think it's fantastic. Oh yeah, how can I mention a location without mentioning Halloween Town? I mean, I think, it's not only its inhabitants, but the town itself is such a huge character, and I think, everyone sort of remembers the locations, like the town hall, Jack's house, Dr. Finkelstein's lab, the Spiral Hill. I mean, everyone remembers that. The cemetery, the town square, it's very all memorable as much as the characters, and that's great. And I think what makes it really sort of higher up on the list is the fact that I think that it's really a dive into Tim Burton as an artist, because you get that sense of, it's not just the characters he drew, it was also the sort of environment, you can just see it just sort of came out of all his sketches and things like that. So I think it's basically, a lot of his films, I always kind of see, oh yeah, I can imagine him drawing that and things like that, I can sort of see that. But I think Nightmare Before Christmas really is the most that we see of his art for a while, before the art book came out, but I think at the time Nightmare was, which is why I think a lot of people consider, even though Henry Selick was the true director, I think people say it is Tim's art, it is his story. I think it's really his film, and so yeah, I give credit to Henry Selick, of course, and I love his other films. But I think Nightmare is a Tim Burton movie, and I think Halloween Town is just an addition to that. And I think the idea of having it black and white, and there's just so much, there's just so much character to like the houses. Everyone remembers the buildings. I haven't seen anyone who's like, it's amazing. And the contrast between Halloween Town and Christmas Town and the real world, it's all great. So, absolutely love it. Oh yeah, now I remember I first saw Sleepy Hollow and I thought that they just used, kind of like in Edward's House, they kind of used like a sort of town that already existed and they just used No! It was all made from scratch! The entire town! I kind of hope it's still existing right now, because wouldn't it be great to walk among the house, because it looks fantastic. So the fact that the whole place was pretty much built up from scratch, I mean, wow. So I was like, what? I think it was such a love letter to Hammer horror films, and you can tell by the location and the atmosphere. I mean, yeah, people usually remember the atmosphere from Sleepy Hollow and the humor. But the setting, I mean, it's just, again, it's the detail and the sort of dreariness and the sort of, you get that kind of uncomfortable feeling. So when Ichabod is like walking through during the credits, you already get this uncomfortable feeling that there is something going on around. But it's also, but it doesn't make the humor, it doesn't make it, stick out. And, it's a little bit romantic as well and supernatural. It's got a lot of things going on. The Western Woods, again, it was on a it was on a stage this time, but I thought it was a real wood. Obviously I was wrong. So I think the fact that it just looked so real. I didn't realize that it was all, it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. So the Western Woods, the windmill, the horseman's resting place. I mean, it's just fantastic. So, so for those people who think that Sleepy Hollow was an existing town that they just filmed on, you're wrong. The entire production team started it up from scratch. So for those of you who haven't seen the movie, be in for a big surprise. People are probably going to be wondering if it's the neighborhood or Edward's house that I prefer. I like both because it's weird because you have such two different things going on, but actually it doesn't seem out of place at all. The neighborhood I really love in the fact that, it's sort of, again, I said this in my review, is that it was very romanticized and it sort of adds to that fairy tale quality that Edward is, and the fact that, he's seeing this for the first time. It's like you're seeing it through his eyes, and so it is very colorful, it's very bright, it works, and it sort of adds to the kind of strangeness of suburban life as well. The plain interior, but the gardens are nice, and I think with the added, as the film progresses and you see more of like Edward's creations sort of spread throughout the town, the more fairy tale it becomes, and I think that was the idea that they were going for. I might be wrong, but that's what I see. And of course Edward's house. I mean, I love it. It's great. I think like I remember, you sort of look at this house and you're thinking, oh my god, like, it's gonna look really, really horrible inside, it's not gonna be very pleasant. But sure enough, like, Peg comes through and you see the garden, and you're like, oh wow, it's like, it was fantastic, and like, I love the stairs, I love the attic, I love the windows. It pretty much looks like a Tim Burton sketch, and it's amazing. And the flashbacks were always great, the inventions were great. Edward's House is definitely the main fairy tale aspect of it, but it's, man, it looks spectacular, and the fact that we see both the house at daytime and nighttime, I liked the added thing with that as well. And it's beautiful. I think the thing that surprised me is that you sort of look at that house, first impression, and then you kind of change your opinion once you actually see what's inside of it, and that's pretty much Ed Wood the character. So I think the house really kind of represented Ed Wood as a character as well, and so that's great. Oh yeah. I told you this in my Dark Shadows review that I was hyped, very excited to see this movie, and and I remember seeing photos of just them building like Collinwood, and I was already getting excited. You know, that's how hyped I was. You know, and finally seeing the film. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's like. Oh, again, it's the fact that they use real sets. You already get that sense of the actors walking. You just get that feel, and man, the entrance hall. I mean, the marine theme that they have going for, you know, the chandelier, and when you look closely, it kind of looks like octopus's tentacles, and then the seahorses at the fireplace. I remember seeing like some sort of lobster clock in the background, if you catch that. You know, the kind of the blue color scheme on the floor, it's very marine-like, and that connects to the Collins family. But my God, it's gorgeous. You know, and then you have the contrast with something like Carolyn's room, which is very 70s. It was such a great contrast, but it didn't seem out of place. You know, the scene where Barnabas sees the lava lamp. You know, and then turning this, you know, old century house into The Happening, I thought was great. The portraits, I loved the portraits. It was fantastic. I was just so blown away by the set, and again, because it was really there. You know, you just got the sense of that. It's kind of like Sleepy Hollow. You know, I didn't realize that it was all real set. You know, obviously some CGI was used. You know, but you know, most of it was the real set, and so I was, you know, pretty amazed by, like, again, it's the detail. I think with Tim Burton sets, they're just so detailed. So like with every viewing, you just notice something a little bit different every time I see it again, and that's great. Now, number one was just so hard, but as many times as like I went through it in my head, Gotham City just tends to pop up every time. Maybe it's because like we see Gotham in like two different movies, and like, you know, in Batman Returns we do get the same Gotham City, but it's just somewhat different, and we see it at Christmas time, and that was amazing, and the snow was just so beautiful. You know, it was like, I said this in my Batman Returns review, is that it felt like Batman, but it was just something a little bit different, and so therefore there was something new to it. And Gotham City, like, I think it's because, like, again, I said this in my Batman review, when I was such a newcomer when I saw the movie, I knew a bit about Batman, obviously, you know, but I didn't know that much. But once I saw Gotham City, just like 5 minutes in, I completely understood the kind of environment, and that was fantastic. You know, the idea that, you know, it's such a glorious set, but you get the kind of criminalized, you know, what did Tim Burton describe it as? New York that was given into the wrong hands, and like hell raised up, and you just get that feeling. But man, it looks glorious as well, and it's just, you know, whether it was from, you know, the alleyways to Wayne Manor to, you know, the art gallery to Axis Chemicals to the cathedral to Selena Kyle's apartment to Max Schreck's office to the Penguin's lair. I mean, it just kept giving. The movies just kept giving and giving and giving, and it didn't feel like too much, and that's what's great. And I think it was just the fact that Gotham City made me understand Batman a lot more. You know, it made me kind of understand, you know, why he does this, you know. Again, I like the idea that they really shrouded the reason why he does it in a little bit of mystery, but I like that. It gives it a sort of question mark. But you just look at the environment and you kind of understand it, you know. And that's what film has to be. It's a visual medium, and that's what Gotham was. So I can say anything else. I think Gotham City is just a wonderful set, and you know, I think that's all I have to say. So I hope you enjoyed my locations top 10. Is there another top 10 you want me to do, or you know, anything else? That'd be great. And I hope to see you guys soon. I have no idea when I'm gonna have time to make another one, or if I come up with any ideas, but because time's just so unfair. But I hope to see you guys soon. But yeah, I will see you guys hopefully very soon, especially for Halloween. And you know, have fun on that. Bye everyone!